Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 6 of Diehlman at Halftime, the NBA podcast that tops all others. I'm your host, Larry Diehlman. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome aboard, and if you've been a loyal listener, welcome back. We have much to get to today and not a lot of time to do it. We have 5 sections that we'll get into, a general overview of the NBA this week, and our usual highlight, lowlight, random stat, and game of the week. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. We saw another episode of the Chris Paul-Scott Foster beef on Wednesday. It was during the Phoenix Suns' home win against Golden State. Paul, who now comes off the bench for the Warriors, was ejected in the first half of the game after getting 2 technical fouls. For those who don't know, Paul and Foster, a longtime NBA referee, are not exactly chummy. Paul is 3-17 in playoff games with Foster reffing, which included a 13-game losing streak. The point guard even admitted that it's personal with Foster, citing an incident involving his son. Paul says the league knows about this and there was a meeting when he was still with the Clippers. I just don't know how Foster is still allowed to ref games that Paul is in, to be quite honest. Imagine the different outcomes across NBA history if games weren't decided by player-referee feuds. Speaking of controversial events this week, Oklahoma City Thunder forward Josh Giddey is in some hot water. The NBA, per a few insiders, is investigating Giddey after allegations surfaced on social media of him having an inappropriate relationship with a minor. Photos and videos of the two together appeared on X, or Twitter, over the Thanksgiving break. Fans may remember former Celtics head coach Ime Udoka getting suspended for the entirety of the 2022-23 season for having an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Remember, Joe Mazzulla eventually replaced him, and Udoka is now the head coach of the Rockets. Giddey's controversy involves an underage girl. Totally different situations. He and Oklahoma City head coach Mark Daigneault have declined to comment. And I've also been seeing on social media recently how people are comparing Giddey's incident to the whole Karl Malone thing. For those of you that don't know, Karl Malone, NBA Hall of Famer with the Utah Jazz, got a 13-year-old pregnant back in the day. So obviously people have made the comparisons, but this Josh Giddey mess is something that I don't think is going away anytime soon. This episode is entitled Pure Magic. So, who's raising eyebrows at the moment? Let's go to our highlight, the Orlando Magic. Our highlight from last week was the Miami Heat. This week, it's time to cover that other team from Florida. The Orlando Magic are winning? Yep, that's correct. Orlando is 12-5 on a 7-game winning streak and is tied for second place in the Eastern Conference with Milwaukee. Not second to last, but second overall. I don't think anyone had them being this high in the standings, but their winning streak says otherwise. The Magic have an overflowing abundance of youth on their roster. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Anthony Black, Markelle Fultz, and Jalen Suggs are just a few. Both Banchero and Wagner average around 20 points a game, and they're pretty even in rebounds, assists, and steals per game. Obviously, Orlando's issue in recent memory has been, well, the youth factor. Was anyone seriously going to bet on the Magic to make the playoffs or even win a playoff series? Mickey Mouse would probably say no. Head coach Jamal Mosley is in his 3rd season in the Sunshine State. If Mosley can turn this team around enough to grab a play-in or playoff berth, I don't think he'll be going anywhere anytime soon. Most contenders don't want too much youth in their lineups because they want to contend rather than wait, but Orlando is being patient. Their next game is on Wednesday, November 29th at 7 o'clock, and they will host the Washington Wizards. Let's go to our low light, the Utah Jazz. Who recalls from last year when the Utah Jazz overachieved and were nearly in a position to get a play-in tournament spot? Those were fun times, weren't they? Not anymore. The Jazz are 5-11 and are 12th in the West. Utah has an interesting core, but I'd be surprised if they did a turnaround so effective that they leaped up the standings, just like what we talked about a few moments ago with the Magic. The Jazz traded for Utah native and former Atlanta Hawk John Collins for their starting lineup. Remember, we talked about the Hawks in an earlier episode and how John Collins was traded for a bag of peanuts. Lauri Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson are nice scorers. Markkanen averages 23.7 points and 8.7 rebounds per game. He was also a first-time All-Star and the NBA's most improved player last season. Clarkson is averaging about 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 4.6 assists per night. During the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert days, the Jazz always had a chance to at least make the first or second round of the playoffs, and having Quinn Snyder as the head coach certainly helped, and ironically, as we just mentioned with the Hawks, Quinn Snyder is now in Atlanta. Now, I don't think the Jazz have enough star power to truly make teams fear them. Their best bet is to either swing high in the upcoming drafts or make some decent free agent signings and pray they develop in their system. Utah's next game is tonight, Monday, November 27th at 9 p.m. They will host the New Orleans Pelicans. Now let's go to our random stat. In Damian Lillard's first game against his former team, the Bucks beat the Trail Blazers in Milwaukee. Did I forget to mention this was the biggest comeback of the season thus far? Milwaukee trailed Portland by 26 points in the third quarter, not the other way around. The final score was 108-102, but the home team was down 81-55 at one point. Giannis Antetokounmpo finished with 33 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 blocks, and Lillard finished with 31 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. I'll just say it, a team like the Bucks should not be down almost 30 to a team like the Trail Blazers. Portland is nowhere in the same stratosphere as them. However, good teams find a way to overcome adversity. And to make the victory even sweeter, Antetokounmpo passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most 30, 10, and 5 games in Bucks history with 106. Remember, Kareem played for the Bucks before he played for the Lakers. Meanwhile, for Portland, this is why you don't take your foot off the gas. When you think the game is over, you lost already. Just ask the Atlanta Falcons. Milwaukee will travel to Portland for Lillard's return to Rip City on Wednesday, January 31st. At least it won't be on the 26th. Let's wrap things up with Game of the Week. For this week's Game of the Week, I'm going to pick the LA Clippers at Sacramento Kings. This matchup will be on Wednesday, November 29th at 10 p.m. If you remember from last year, these two had a game that went to double overtime. The Kings won 176-175. That is not a typo. The 351 combined points was the second highest scoring game in NBA history. Fast forward to the present. LA has earned some wins since the James Harden trade. Sacramento is still strong like they were last season. With the excellent youth the Kings have, and with the talented veterans the Clippers have, it should be a fun game to watch. The coaching battle of Ty Lue versus Mike Brown will be interesting as well. And it should be close because Sacramento's home crowd sure is raucous. If you've seen the videos on YouTube with Sacramento's fans cheering during the game, it's incredible. I mean, I'm a Sixers fan, but the Kings crowd is amazing. So this game, I'm taking the Clippers 108-100. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on social media. I have 2 Twitter accounts and 2 Instagram accounts. The podcast accounts are under @Diehlman_NBA for both Twitter and Instagram. My personal Twitter is @LarryDiehlman18, and my personal Instagram is @Mr_Sports18. They are also in the description on SoundCloud to the right. And don't forget to spread the word about Diehlman at halftime. See you next time, fellow Hoops fans.